The following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates. It does not necessarily reflect the views of WDEL or Forever Media. Rick Jensen on 1150 AM, 1017 FM, WDEL.
Well, it should reflect the views of everybody. Of course it should. I've been a very, very happy client of Dan White and Associates, financial planners, focusing on retirement income. And every Wednesday afternoons at 1:30, Dan and or one of his associates calls in with some great advice for you. So Dan White's on the phone right now. Hi, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well, Rick. How about yourself?
I'm well, thank you. So, last night, State of the Union, Joe mentioned a few things that were proposals from his administration, haven't gone through yet. And people are asking, oh, my gosh, when's that going to happen? We don't know. But there are some things that actually have occurred over the last couple of years that affect us when it comes to retirement income, and such like that. What are some of the questions you get from people?
Well, there was one thing that came up recently, and we deal with a lot of state employees, state of Delaware and that kind of thing. So when you're talking about 401k plans or 457 plans, when somebody, there's a couple of exceptions. If you want to invade the account before age 59 and a half, you have the age 55 that says if you separate service, the year you turn age 55, you can then, if you leave the money in the 401k, you can take the money out without paying the penalty. Mm-hmm. You're still going to get hit with the taxes. But there's another one called the age 50 exception, which is available for federal, state, and local public safety employees. And it only applies to workplace plans like 401ks, not IRAs. But when a plan participant engaged in one of these professions is 50 years or older and they separate, they can take withdrawals from the employer plans, pay the tax, but they're not going to be subject to the 10% penalty. So this includes police officers, public firefighters, emergency medical service workers, air traffic controllers, a lot of different people. And state employees. So Secure Act 2.0, which we've been talking about a lot.
Yeah.
They expand this exception to include private sector firefighters, corrections officers who are employees of state and local governments, and the law extends the age 50 exception to public safety employees with 25 years of service with the employer sponsoring the plan. So you don't have to be 50. Mm-hmm. You can be 47 if you have 25 years of service with the employer sponsoring the plan. You qualify for this exception.
Wow. I'll throw you a curveball here. You always like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I still have a curveball on this one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, go ahead. Let's hear yours again.
All right, so let's say you have somebody who is an emergency medical service worker, which is a profession covered by the age 50 exception, started at 22, and now they're 47 and want to retire, but all her assets are tied up in a workplace retirement plan. Prior to this tax law change, she would have had to wait to separate from service in the year she turned 50, but because she's got 25 years of service and she's 47, she can take advantage of this exception. Now, let's change the facts a little. Let's say she spent 20 years as an emergency medical service worker and then took a new job as a forensic security employee, but that's still a covered occupation. She rolled over her work plan from the first job to the new plan, and after 5 years on the new job at age 47, it's unknown if she would qualify for the 25 years of service because the issue in the Tax Act says you have to have 25 years of service with the employer sponsoring the plan.
Right. Gotcha.
So even though she has the 25 years, it wasn't all with the same employer. She probably is going to be exempt from that plan and would have to wait until she turns 50 to take that money out without the penalty.
I'm going to give you a real-world example that's, I'm sure, only affects maybe a couple of handful of people in Newcastle County.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
And this might be one of those things when you say, well, if I ever come across it, I'll research it, or maybe you'll know. So here in Newcastle County, for example, there was a time, I don't know if it still exists, Dan, and I'm not going back to like the 1950s, I mean just like the last half dozen years or so, when in Newcastle County, the county executive could hire somebody from another government agency, even out of state, And they would say, okay, but you know what? You've got a really good savings plan there in Newcastle County. I want to roll my existing plan into Newcastle County's plan. And he said, oh, okay, you can do that. So let's say they've got $100,000 and they roll it into Newcastle County's retirement plan, and Newcastle County starts matching, and it's a beautiful thing. But what if they've been with Newcastle County for 20 years, and they were with the other agency for 5 years? Would that be considered? Well, no. So they've been there for 25 years, right? So they've been in Newcastle County for 25 years, right? But the other money was rolled in. I mean,
it's probably going to fall into that second one I just mentioned, that you don't have the 25 years with the employer sponsoring the plan.
God, so employer sponsoring the plan. So they've been with them for 25 years, but the employer only sponsored the plan for, let's say, 20.
So this is the thing. It says in the example I gave you, while the person worked in the approved professions for the full 25 years, it's unknown if her participation in two different plans during that period disqualifies her.
Yeah.
So they really haven't given us guidance on this yet as to whether they're going to allow it.
And by the way, I bring that up because that's a real world situation in Newcastle County. Yeah, and it was quite controversial when it occurred here too. I think they closed that loophole since then.
I see that with a lot of the police officers. They may retire after 25 years, and then they might get a job somewhere else. And you see that a lot in the state of Delaware.
Yeah,
so.
But if they weren't with that same plan, there's a lot of double dipping. Yeah, but if they weren't with the same plan for 25 years, forget about it. That's interesting. Good stuff. Well, thanks, Dan. You read too much of the boring stuff, and I'm glad you do it so I don't have to.
Well, that's what we're here for, Rick.
Sure, that's why you're here. That's why you're on the program anyway. Sunday morning, 7 a.m. on the money here on 1150 a.m. and 101.7 FM WDEL, streaming live at WDEL.com. You have this program right here on the station, Sunday mornings at 7 on the money. What are you talking about this Sunday?
Well, we're talking a little bit about the Eagles because from what I understand, there's a big game on Sunday. But
might be.
The topic, the retirement topic, it's really kind of an outlier. There's a thing called a QLAC, which is called a Qualified Life Annuity Contract. It's really a longevity ticket, and very few people have ever heard of them. So we're going to explain what they are, how they work, and whether or not you might want to look into getting one. So. Okay,
so I was, by the way, we talked about this earlier, Mom Kelsey, Donna Kelsey, she's got a son playing at the Chiefs and one in the Eagles. And I asked listeners...
She can't lose.
Yeah, right. She can't. Although Thanksgiving is going to be kind of tough because one's winning, one's losing. Come to Monster Thanksgiving. Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah. Yep. But you coached baseball for many, many, many years. And I'm wondering, even with that, did you ever see a situation where you had two kids of the same family playing against each other?
Not normally, because when we coach, usually if you had a brother or something, they would put them on the same team.
Yeah, I just wondering because
you didn't see it all that often. I did coach a lot of times. I did coach a set of brothers on the same team, but usually they were never on different teams. Yeah, they would play together.
You shared with me some stats the other day. Did you email them to me or text them to me?
I texted them to you, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I could probably pull them up. It was kind of bizarre.
It is kind of wild. So this is what you gave me. The Chiefs have a 16-3 overall record. The Eagles have a 16-3 overall record. The Chiefs have 546 points scored. The Eagles have 546 points scored. The Chiefs have 6 All-Pros, including a Kelsey brother. The Eagles...
And their quarterback.
And their quarterback, yes. The Eagles have 6 All-Pros, including a Kelsey brother and their quarterback. And, of course, the Chiefs being the AFC's number 1 seed and the Eagles being the NFC's number 1 seed. Well, I see that they're tied with all those things. I'm thinking, well, it's going to be a blowout by the Eagles.
Well, I'm hoping you're right. I really am. It'd be nice to have another Super Bowl champ here. I personally, I went on the show on Sunday because I taped it, and I think they're going to win. I think they're a better team, but better team doesn't always win, so that's why they play the game. So
well, bad news for the Chiefs, good news for us Eagles fans. is that they have more hobbling injuries than the Eagles do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that definitely helps.
There you go. So we'll see if Mahomes can hobble his way up and down the field. Meanwhile, Dan White, give him a call, 888-690-8820, 888-690-8820, financial planner specializing in your retirement income. Thanks for the time, buddy.
All right. Have a great day, Rick.
You too. Go Eagles.